alive. All right, we're alive. Beautiful. So the title of today's discussion is why techniques fail when identity is unsettled. Why techniques fail when identity is unsettled. Right? The quote that we are using, like practically, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You want to step A through Z plan on how to manifest. Do this and this will happen, guaranteed. Don't work like that. It don't work like that. All right? So sit down, pay attention. I got you. All right, so Romans 3:4. Romans 3:4. Romans 3:4. It says what? Let God be true and every man a liar. Now remember, Old Testament, Romans, when we say let God be true, we talk about the Lord or God, what are we talking about here? The I am. Okay, what is that? Matter of fact, not the I am. Let's take a step back, right? When we talk about the Lord or God, Old Testament, we're talking about the law. All right, the law can be your identity. It's what you consider your truth. Okay. It is what you accept as the truth about you, your identity. This is the Lord or the law, Old Testament wise. So let's read this one more time and read it from that. It says, let God be true and every man a liar. Every man a liar. That's a very powerful quote. We're going to get into that a little bit later. So let's start to get back to the basics. So the last time we talked about I am not being a state. I would highly advise, you can listen to this, but I would highly advise if certain things don't make sense to actually watch the video that I posted at the last live stream. The last live stream is called I am is not a state, it is a remembrance. And it's the foundation of I am. Because this is what we're going to talk about on this channel moving forward. We're going to talk about I am awareness. Right? So why most people are not manifesting, they're negotiating with reality. Most people don't suffer because they lack power. None of us lack power. You are all powerful. We suffer because we refuse to decide who we are. We suffer because we refuse to decide who we are. So we stay busy. We affirm. They visualize. They script. They quote unquote persist. Not because these are expressions of identity, but because they're attempts to soothe the ache of uncertainty. So the moment that y'all are asking me like, hey, what do I do? What do I have to do? I already know the place that you're coming from. I already see through it. You're coming from the position of somebody who knows they don't have what they want, and they're trying to figure out what to do to get what they want. There's already a bridge of illusion there that you don't have what you want. That's the illusion that we're collapsing. That's the illusion that we're collapsing. When identity is unsettled, when I do not walk in the truth of who I am, my prosperity, I am love, techniques just become anesthesia. And anesthesia feels like progress until it wears off. You get a nice dopamine hit from reciting your affirmations all day, don't you? Don't you? I am prosperity, I am prosperity, I am prosperity, I am prosperity. It feels good when nothing's happening. And that if that identity is not settled, you walk into the world and that bill slaps you across your forehead, doesn't it? And all of a sudden, the affirmation felt good until it didn't. Because your identity is not settled yet. So this is what we're going to talk about. How techniques without identity are useless. What is the difference between mindless affirmations? Not mindless affirmations from the knowing that you're source, but what is the difference between affirmations just trying to get something, just saying affirmations trying to get something versus saying a prayer in a church trying to get something? What is the difference? Nothing. They're the exact same thing. What makes one magical or the other magical isn't the technique, it's you. It's the identity that is anchoring itself with those affirmations. It's when the affirmations, it's when the techniques become an expression of the identity that you've chosen. Are you following? I trust that you are. So the cycle of hope and disappointment. Hope is not faith, and hope is not freedom. Hope doesn't feel free. Hope is the mind saying, maybe this will work if I do it right. There's already the issue right there. You're not conditionally accepting the truth that you're already it. There's already a condition. If I do it right, maybe this will work. All these conditions sprinkled into the affirmation. This person said this, do the 3-6-9 method. Do the 5-5-2 method. Some of y'all are like, huh? The 5-5-2? Let me Google that. Doesn't exist. Got your ass. Got your little lackful ass. Right? So we're constantly trying to get these techniques and put them on top of a lackful identity and wondering why nothing happens. All right? Faith doesn't try, faith assumes. Faith doesn't try, faith assumes. So the first quote that we're going to talk about is one that we've talked about constantly, is James 1:8. Great. James 1:8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Not some of them, but all of them. It is the state of dividing authority between what you are and what you're waiting on. One part of you claims truth. I am healthy. I am healed. While the other keeps checking circumstances to see if it is allowed to stand. I say I'm healed, but because I have the physical sensation, I think I'm doing something wrong. Because clearly this should have disappeared overnight. What are you doing? You're double-minded. You don't know which one is truth. You don't know if the external is truth or if you are the truth. But you are the truth. This is what Jesus was saying when he said, I am the way. Right? So double-minded. You have two masters. You can't serve two masters. What is the truth? Is it going to be you, your decree, your choice, your desire, or will it be what you see out there, what you feel in the body? This goes back to the first verse that we were talking about, Romans 3:4. Let God be true. Let what you say about you be true, and every man a liar. Everything outside of you is a liar. The bank account is a liar. The physical sensations in your body is a liar. But Alex, it feels real. It's a real experience, but it's not the truth. You're the truth. It's a real experience, but it's not the truth. You are the truth. Cool. So one part of you claims truth while the other keeps checking circumstances to see if it's allowed to stand. That split is the instability that James is pointing to in this scripture. We're not talking about emotional fluctuation, right? Emotions fluctuate. We're talking about divided allegiance. You're not free because your sense of self keeps commuting between inner knowing and outer permission. You're not free if your sense of self keeps on traveling back and forth between an inner decision and the external circumstance. You're not free. You have two masters, right? No man can serve two masters. A double-minded man. That's what all of these scriptures are pointing to. That's what all of these teachings are pointing to. All right? One moment you remember who you are. The next moment you hand the pen back to the world, or back to the body, or back to the emotion, or back to the thought, and ask it how the story should go. That's dependency. Freedom cannot exist where identity is outsourced. When your confidence rises and falls with responses, outcomes, signs, moods, or movement, you're living on borrowed ground. You're not walking, you're reacting. The double mind says, I trust, unless reality disagrees. And the moment reality raises its voice, truth is put on hold. That's not faith. That's negotiation right there. That's negotiating. You're negotiating your sense of self or who you are with the external, right? Yeah, I'm prosperity. But then you see a situation and you give external reality the pen and you say, no, you tell me if I'm prosperity. Because this happened, I must not be prosperity. But you are. Freedom begins the moment you stop requiring external agreement to remain inwardly decided. The mind becomes single when authority returns home. And only then does stability appear. KJX, I hope you caught that. KJX, I hope you caught that. The mind becomes single when authority returns home. And only then does stability appear. Not because life stops moving, but because you do not move with it anymore, right? And the scripture was Romans 3:4. It was Romans 3:4, right? Let God be true and every man a liar. Let God be true and every man a liar. Beautiful. Double-minded doesn't mean doubtful in thought alone. It means undecided in being. You're saying I am while living as I if. You are saying I am, but you are living as I am if. Do you see where the issue is with what I'm saying? Do you see where that issue is? So in one moment, I'm saying, yeah, this is who I am. But then I look outside, or I feel something, or I think something, or the emotion shows up. And now I'm inviting all these other chefs to have a vote in my identity. That's always going to cause indecision. It's going to be exhausting. You're going to be fighting with yourself until you settle down in the truth of who you are, and you allow that to be that light that leads you, that beacon that leads you. What was that beautiful quote that somebody put in the Discord? It said, the external circumstances cannot be the beacon that guides me. I am. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something beautiful like that. Right? And that's the absolute truth. The external circumstances cannot be the beacon that guides us. We have to be the beacon. So now we're about to get a little bit more poetic with this. We're about to slow it down, get a little bit more romantic. All right? So hope rises every time you do the technique, and disappointment follows every time reality does not immediately comply. That's not manifestation. That's emotional gambling. So listen to this quote by Meister Eckhart. The soul must let go of God as an object and rest in God as ground. What does that mean? The soul, you, must let go of God as an object. Objects are obtainable, right? And rest in God as ground, as the truth. When God is an object, there's distance. You reach, you ache, you long, you yearn, you pray upward, and you wait for replies. Love becomes longing, devotion becomes pursuit, and faith turns into a relationship strained by absence. When God is an object, when the love that you want is an object that you place within that man, within that woman, hear that. Faith turns into a relationship strained by absence. But when God is the ground, there is no reaching. There is resting, no asking permission to belong, no proving worthiness to be held. The soul exhales its chase. The soul exhales its chase and discovers it was never outside the embrace it was seeking. God is no longer something you look toward, but the depth you are standing in, breathing in, moving from. Desire softens because it's fulfilled at the level beneath craving. Right? It's the remembrance that if I am all things, then I need nothing. I am all things. How can I need anything? I am already all things. From that place, right? Now even the desire becomes holy. It's just proof of union. Right? This is the intimacy the mystics pointed to. An intimacy so close, it dissolves the lover and the beloved into one pulse. Do you hear me? To rest in God as ground, to rest in I am as the truth, as the absolute truth of your being, is to stop trying to touch the divine and realize you're already being touched from within. Prayer becomes listening without words. Right? We understand that, right? That source is the space between words. Surrender becomes trust without collapse. You stop loving God as something separate and begin living as an expression of that love itself. The romance ends not in distance, but in union, where nothing needs to be chased because nothing has ever left. There we go. Nothing needs to be chased because nothing has ever left, right? This is the essence of God within you. This is the truth of who you are. Nothing needs to be chased. Nothing ever left. Spirituality, or this whole coming home or this realization journey, right? It's not about finding anything or adding anything on. It's about stripping away the illusion that you were ever lost, that you were ever not home, that God could ever be anywhere but here in this moment with you. That was the illusion. You thinking there was a ladder of righteousness to climb, You thinking that you had to align all the chakras, get in the right vibration, reprogram the subconscious, do the energy healing and the Reiki work, and do the card reading. That was the illusion. Those things are fine, but the illusion was the belief, was the acceptance that there was anything in between you and the perfect ideal relationship with God. Matter of fact, relationship isn't even the right word. Why? Because how could there be a relationship when there's only one? Relationship implies two. There is only one. There is only source. There is only I am. So how could you ever be further or closer to that which you already are, to that which animates your very being, to that which is the awareness that you view the world through? Very beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. So as long as you're doing techniques to get something, you have positioned reality as the authority and yourself as the petitioner. That's not creation, that's waiting. All right, so next, when practices become coping mechanisms. Right? When practices become coping mechanisms, affirmations were never meant to convince reality. Visualization was never meant to persuade the future. They were meant to express a settled knowing. So all the techniques that we do, the techniques aren't meant to convince something outside of us to do something. They're not meant to convince some part of you, some subconscious, to finally give you something that you desire. They're just meant to be expressions of a truth that you've already accepted. I am prosperity. Why? Because the truth of me is I'm already everything. I am source. I am that I am. So therefore I must be prosperity. It's just the truth. So prosperity is just the truth. It's just the truth. When identity is unstable, practices turn into coping behaviors. And can even be the case when you first get into the I am space, right? You affirm to calm anxiety. Even the quote unquote remembering your I amness, whatever that means, right, is a coping mechanism. We use that just like an affirmation. We affirm to calm anxiety. We visualize to escape discomfort. We persist to avoid deciding. So here is another beautiful quote, and it is 2 Timothy 3:7. 2 Timothy 3:7. What does it say? Ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Scripture has it all. It's so funny that when you start reading it metaphysically, the call-outs in it. The call-outs in it are crystal clear when you look at it from a metaphysical lens. What else could this mean, right? Ever learning, always seeking information, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth that I already am. Constantly seeking information, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. This is a condition of a lot of people. There is a kind of seeking that feels holy but keeps the soul starving. It reads, it studies, it listens, it collects, it highlights, it nods, and it never arrives. Not because truth is hidden, but because arrival would end the romance of searching. This kind of learning stays busy, so it never has to be still long enough to risk knowing. Truth is not information the mind can possess. Truth is not information the mind can possess. It is a surrender the heart must allow. And so the soul keeps reaching for more language about God, more insight about self, more understanding about life, while quietly avoiding the one moment that would change everything, the moment of resting inside what already is. I know. Sit with that one for a second. Right? So the verse is not a condemnation, right? It's a lament. When we say lament, it's an expression of grief, of sorrow. It's this sadness. It's this moment in time, this lamenting, right? It is not a condemnation, it's a lament, a portrait of lovers circling the door but never entering the room. Circling the door but never entering the room. To know truth is not to accumulate concepts, but to be undone by intimacy in this moment with the source that you already are. Truth doesn't flatter the ego with complexity. It strips it with simplicity. The tragedy is never ignorance, it's endless preparation. Ever learning keeps the soul safe from the vulnerability of embodiment. But truth is not learned the way facts are learned. We always had this conversation, right? Truth is not learned the way facts are learned. Truth is recognized when the seeker finally stops moving, stops improving, stops becoming, and dares to remain. Only then does knowledge cease to be effort and turn into home. Only then does knowledge cease to be effort and turn into home. I know. Y'all haven't got poetic Alex in a while. Y'all been getting ass whooping Alex. I got you. I know. Right? Learning without embodiment becomes spiritual procrastination. Learning without embodiment is spiritual procrastination. God is calling you home through the information, and instead of you resting in the truth of who you are, you continue to seek and seek and seek and seek what can only be found by being, by presence, it can only be found here and now. Here and now, right? So next, the addiction to movement instead of decision. Movement feels safer than decision because movement allows revision. Decision closes doors. Decision is final. So people stay in motion. Another technique, another method, another tweak, another book, another coach, another session, another this, another that. But never the one thing that actually collapses the loop. A decision. Information don't collapse the loop. It's a decision. How many times are you going to ask, why am I in the loop? Why am I in the loop? Why am I in the loop? Well, that's why you're in the loop, because you keep on trying to figure out why you're in the loop instead of just deciding who you are right now. Do you hear me? All right. So Joshua, good old Joshua, 24:15, it says, choose this day whom you will serve. We have all these hints towards double-mindedness, right? A double-minded man is unstable. Can't serve two masters. Choose this day whom you will serve. Choose this day, aka choose right now. Not choose tomorrow. Not take some time and think about who you want to serve and then make a decision later on. Choose this day. Choose this day right now whom you will serve. All right? So this is not a command shouted from heaven. It's an invitation whispered into the chest. Choose does not mean decide intellectually. It means give your weight to something. Give your weight to something. It means stop swaying between altars. Stop swaying between altars, between decisions. Stop loving truth in theory while kneeling to fear in practice. Did that hit home for anybody? Stop loving truth in theory while kneeling to fear in practice. To serve is to let something shape your posture, your breath, your movement through the day. You are always serving something. Approval, memory, desire, control, fear, circumstances, feelings, thoughts, or God, truth, identity. You're always serving something. So this verse is exposing, right? Choose this day whom you will serve. It asks the most intimate question a soul can face. Who do you belong to right now when no one is watching and nothing is working yet? What do you choose? Who do you stand as right now? Romance, true romance, lives inside this choosing. Because love that hesitates is not love, it's audition. To choose is to stop flirting with possibility and commit to presence. Stop flirting with possibility and commit to the presence, the truth of who you are right now. When you choose whom you will serve, you stop asking reality for permission to stand upright. You stop offering your loyalty to outcomes, to feelings, and your devotion to timing. You place your heart somewhere and let it stay there. That is intimacy. You place your heart somewhere and you stay there. You go to the end and you stay there. I trust that this wording is touching on a different level today, in a different way today. No, we've been using a hammer. Today we're going to use a butter knife. All right? You place your heart somewhere and let it stay there. That's intimacy. The soul doesn't ache because it's bound. It aches because it's undecided. And the moment you choose, not tomorrow, right? Not after signs, not after it feels better, not after reassurance, all right? Something in you finally settles. Love finally has a place to land. It's all love, right? Why not choose to love what you actually desire to be? Why not choose to love here's another one, right? Because you are reality. Why not choose to love yourself as who you desire to be right now? Why not choose to love yourself as who you desire to be right now? That is intimacy, right? The addiction is not to techniques. It is to not standing still long enough to feel the terror of authority. Because if you decide, you can no longer blame time, circumstances, emotion, alignment. You become responsible for being who you say you are. And what you really notice, if you truly start to study all these things, right? We worship the circumstances. We talk about movement. We talk about emotions. Feeling is the secret. We talk about alignment and vibration and subconscious mind. All of these things are ways to put the blame on something fucking else. All of those things are just slick, sly, subtle, sneaky, cowardice ways of putting the blame on something else. I don't have it. It must be the subconscious or the trauma or the thoughts or the feelings that I can't control or the nervous system. It must be something. It can't be me, but it is you. But it is you. It absolutely is you. You can make the decision right now to remember who you are, to give yourself the permission to love yourself in the truth of who you desire to be, which is the truth. And you can allow everything that you desire to unfold from you in this divine and holy moment. And there is only now. You can make the choice right now like this and never turn back. I am that I am, right? No matter what. So stacking techniques on top of lack reinforces lack. If lack is the soil, everything grown from it carries its flavor. If lack is the fucking soil, everything grown from it carries its flavor. Lack is contagious, it's poisonous, it's disgusting, it's disturbing, it's ugh. Right? You cannot affirm your way out of a root you refuse to see. Matthew 12:34. Matthew 12:34, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Words are not born in the mouth. They rise from a deeper well. Have you ever seen someone, they've been on this journey for a little bit, and all of a sudden it just cracks, right? All of a sudden, all the lack begins to spill out of them. They doubt this, they doubt the teaching, they doubt that, right? It's that abundance of doubt that they've been holding on to. Just has to spill out. But what happens when somebody actually holds on to the truth of who they are. And all of a sudden they have that moment where reality proves to them who they are. What happens? What spills out? The love spills out. I held on to this and this is who I am. And it was just the truth. And I know this happened, but it still doesn't define me. And I accepted the truth. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Words are not born in the mouth, they rise from a deeper well. Speech is simply the overflow of whatever has been most lived in. Yeah, speech is simply the overflow of whatever has been most lived in, most trusted, most returned to in the quiet moments. This is when I hear y'all tell me how you've been doing it for X amount of time, I already know where that speech is coming from. That is the overflow of whatever has been most lived in, most trusted, most returned to in the quiet moments. Because you'll know them by their fruit. You'll know them by their fruit. The law is impartial. The law is perfect. The law is fair. The law has no favorites. It plays no games. It just is. The problem isn't with the law, y'all. Huh? So the heart is always full of something, fear or faith, devotion or doubt, wholeness or hunger. So the mouth reveals before it performs. You don't need to monitor every sentence now, but you need to listen to what keeps filling you. What you love in secret, what you rehearse inwardly, what you return to when no one is correcting you. What you return to when no one is correcting you. What you return to when no one is correcting you, that is what eventually finds a voice. The mouth is honest because it cannot help but testify to the heart's true residence. There is romance in this because the heart speaks the language of its beloved. The heart speaks the language of its beloved. When the heart is rooted in lack, when the truth of who you are, when the knowing of who you are is rooted in lack, the mouth negotiates, it pleads, it explains. When the heart rests in truth, the mouth declares without strain, not to convince, right? Not to try to convince, but to express. Speech becomes less effortful, more intimate, like a lover whispering what no longer needs proof. Yeah, like a lover whispering what no longer needs proof, right? When the heart is full of being, the mouth no longer asks the world who it is. It simply speaks from home. It simply speaks from home. So hear that verse one more time. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, not out of the repetition of the mouth, but out of the abundance of the heart. Do you feel me? Right? When the heart is unsettled, affirmations become negotiations. I'm worthy, right? I am chosen, right? It's done, unless it isn't. That's not declaration, that's bargaining steel. Right? So remember, one of the other quotes that we talk about within mysticism is, you cannot come to God by thought, only by surrender of self. Can you surrender to the desire? Can you surrender to the truth of who you are? Can you give yourself permission to fall in love with the version of you that you desire to be right now, knowing that it's the truth because you're already everything? You cannot come to God by thought, only by surrender of self. This is from the cloud of the unknowing, the cloud of unknowing, right? Techniques without identity are thought trying to reach authority. And we know that thoughts don't create. It's identity, right? Techniques without identity are thought trying to reach authority. Allow your words to simply be expressions of the truth that you already are. Okay? So the next part, the emotional roller coaster of watching reality. The fastest way to lose power is to watch the world for feedback. When reality is good, you feel aligned. When reality resists, you spiral. This creates an emotional economy where peace is conditional, right? You create this economy of emotions within you or within your life where peace is conditional based on what you see out there. You're always externally focused. You haven't returned home to the truth of who you are, to that pure awareness, right? So even 2 Corinthians 5:7, when we talk about this, it says, we walk by faith, not by sight. We walk by faith, not by sight. So sight here is not vision. We walk by faith, not by sight, right? So the sight here is evidence addiction. Think of the sight in this case as evidence addiction. You can either walk by faith or you can walk as one who is addicted to evidence. I need to see proof. I need to see signs. I need to see this. I need to see that. And so now you're building this economy, all right? This emotional economy in your life where what happens? Your peace is conditional. It's always based on something out there. It's always based on something out there, right? You don't move when reality agrees with you. You move because you're already standing somewhere internally. Until identity is settled, physical reality becomes your mood regulator. Very powerless place to be. Until your identity is settled in who you are, guess what? Physical reality is going to become your mood regulator. And you do not want to build the emotional economy with the external reality. You don't want to give the external reality the keys and say, run my mood, right? And a God who needs reassurance is no God at all. I have to end with that line, right? A God who needs reassurance is no God at all. And we go. The truth that ends the loop. And I'm going to bold that and actually put that on the top because I know I kind of skimmed by that quote. But that quote should be one of those whoa quotes. That should be one of those eye poppers, right? A God who needs reassurance is no God at all. That's no God at all. Okay. So here we go. The truth that ends the loop. Most people are not manifesting. They're just negotiating with reality. Negotiation says, I'll believe when I see. I'll relax when it shifts. I'll stand firm if it improves. Manifestation says, I decide first. I stand now. I remain regardless. Last verse that we're going to go to, right? This is the verse that we started off with. Romans 3:4. Let God be true and every man a liar. What God says, what the source within you says, what you choose to be, what you decide, that is true. And everything else is a liar. This is the moment you stop auditioning your existence for approval. Fuck consensus. Fuck inherited narratives. Fuck the chorus of voices telling you who you should be based on what they were brave enough to live. Fuck the chorus of voices telling you who you should be based on what they were brave enough to live. Every man a liar means every borrowed identity, every echoed fear, every opinion formed, every circumstance formed from limitation instead of truth gets stripped of authority, right? It's not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It is liberation. We're talking about pointing you back towards freedom. It is the soul standing upright and saying, if truth lives anywhere, it lives here first. Not in trends, not in reactions, not in the mouth of the crowd, not in my emotions. Who are you when you stop letting other people name you? Who are you when you stop letting other people name you? To let God be true is to let the deepest knowing within you speak louder than your history, louder than your doubts, louder than the room. It's to stop asking permission to be what you already are. God here is not an external deity, referee, a Santa Claus in the sky keeping score. God is the unarguable fact of being itself. And when that truth is allowed to stand, everything else is revealed as noise. This is true clarity. This is true clarity. Let God be true, and every man is a fucking liar. That's what it said. They just took the word fucking out of this verse. They stripped that out with one of the translations. Don't remember which one. But let God be true and every man a liar. This is clarity. You don't become smaller to belong. You don't dilute yourself to be accepted. You let the truth be true. Let the truth be true and let the lies fall away on their own. Let the truth be true and let lies fall away on their own. Every man includes the version of you that panics when nothing moves. Every man includes the version of you that panics when nothing moves. Identity is not something you stabilize with effort. It's something you refuse to keep revisiting. When identity settles, techniques fall away naturally because they're no longer needed to prop you up. You stop asking, is this working? Because you're no longer working. You are being. And reality has no choice but to reorganize around that. I am that I am, right? No matter what. A God who needs reassurance is no God at all. A God who needs reassurance is no God at all. Beautiful. All right. Trust y'all enjoyed this one. Trust y'all enjoyed this one. Back to the roots, right? Back to the I am, back to the identity and all that, okay? So let's do questions for a little bit. I got a whole lot of battery. Let's do questions. Hopefully that helped. Did y'all have any questions about this specifically? Do you have, appreciate y'all. Y'all are kind. Y'all are very kind. Hell yeah. Not the Lamborghini, you feel me? Yeah, I got a whole lot of battery. Yeah, I thought this one would be a nice change of pace. We've been rough riding it with each other for a while. So I was like, let's get back to a little poetry. Good. It was Romans 3:4. Romans 3:4. The moment that made me realize this was real. It wasn't really a moment. I can't tell you there was a moment. I've always thought there was more beyond what physical reality is, right? So it was, I don't know. I don't think there was a moment. I've had big things show up in my life, but I mean, I guess at this point in my life, there's no doubt about it because I hear the stories y'all tell me in one-on-ones. I see the success stories that y'all have in y'all's life. So I have no doubts. I don't even really, I know sometimes to be personal, I'll talk about doubt with y'all and stuff like that, but my mind is constantly dwelling in the realm of infinity, thinking about what else is possible. Have I read the whole? I did. When I was a lot younger, I read it, but I haven't read the whole thing from a metaphysical perspective. I don't have a desire to do that, but I still will read parts of it. And sometimes y'all give me verses on here, and I'll just pull it up. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means, or that is off the top of my head, and I'll pull it up and we'll break it down together. But the last time I read it from cover to cover was a long time ago. Saw my SP today, and of course I was having this emotional feelings of doubt, but I stand and I am. Beautiful. You just ripped your plants. Ripped my plants. Love beyond emotion. I appreciate you. Yeah. I quote a lot of scripture. I quote a lot of scripture from metaphysical perspective. When did it just click? When I chose for it to click. I was the same. The reason I'm so passionate about certain topics, especially topics like seeking, is because I was in the rabbit hole in the loop of seeking for a long time. I was constantly thinking if I had more information, it just has to click. There's something that's missing, right? But there was never anything missing. The only thing that was missing was me. I was missing from this present moment. I was nowhere to be found in this present moment. I was out searching for shit out there. You know what I'm saying? Instead of actually being in the truth of who I am right now. This is the only place that I can meet God. This is the only place that you can experience life. All the information that you're going to learn, you really don't have to learn anything. You just need to sit down in this moment and know that you're already all that there is and move from that perspective. And that's it. Did I start hearing something like, yeah. I mean, I did all that, but I didn't actually get anything out of any other law. Even when I started talking about this, I didn't know this was like a law of I am until afterwards. Other people that were talking about it started reaching out to me, and I started seeing other people's stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Was that how I started day trading? Just decided, nah. I mean, I decided that I was prosperity, but shit, a lot of work went into getting myself profitable. I mean, I locked myself in the room for like 20. Damn, I thought that picture fell for a second. I'm like, I know I had another fucking picture up there. But no, I locked myself in the room for damn near 24 hours a day for about 6 months, doing nothing but back testing, studying the market. And that's how I got myself profitable. When I manifested perfect eyesight, when manifesting perfect eyesight, just trust no matter what we see. Yep, exactly. That's it. That's it. Just trust no matter what you see. That silence felt cool, didn't it? Yeah, mainly just stillness and embodiment. You do. You do deserve. You already deserve it, right? So there's nothing to it but to be present and rest in. You already have it right now. Yep, you trust these better no matter what happens. Remember your reality. What you see out there is just what you see out there. Your reality. Do I ever feel bored? Yeah, I feel bored, but I mean, sure, I embrace those moments as well. I feel all the human emotions. I just don't judge them as right or wrong. They're just human emotions. They don't lead me, right? My bitterness doesn't lead me. Anger doesn't lead me. Happiness doesn't lead me. I lead me, right? The truth leads me. That's it. Y'all doing anything tonight? Saturday night? This boxing going on? Oh shit, it is movie night. Fuck. Appreciate you. Girl, I appreciate you. It is movie night. What's the movie tonight? It is movie night in the Discord, y'all. It's movie night in the Discord. And thinking of some things to do in the Discord to kind of get people out of their shell. I've been trying to figure out some things to do. Like games, just I don't know. I really don't know. I thought the movie nights would be cool, but trying to figure out some other things to just make it a little bit more interactive and fun. How do we watch it? If you join the Discord, you'll see how we watch a movie in the Discord. If you join, you'll see. But we just stream it. We just stream it. This is Sparkling Starfruit Pineapple Edition. Plays PC games would be fun. That would be cool. I'm surprised more of y'all don't. Some of y'all on the game. I'm surprised more people aren't streaming on there. I do enjoy, popping up and seeing the Discord being used. We have faith in the God who suffered, but also found fulfillment like experience. What do you want? Let's shake it. That's beautiful. I am that I am. Triggered Tim. That's absolutely beautiful. Dang, I think he jumped off. Yeah, that was fire. Said you stream gaming and no one joined. Maybe we should do. Okay, I actually have an idea. I have a fucking idea. So you know how you have the pick your own roles bots? Maybe the pick your own role bots, we can also have one that has trading. So if you're interested in trading, you hit the thing and all of a sudden you get a trading tag. And if somebody's streaming trading, they can at that tag and people will show up. Maybe we could have one for gaming and things like that as well. I think that might be cool. That might be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. Do something like that. Yeah, the movie, it'll be in one of the streamlines. It might not be the actual watch party, but it'll be in one of the lounges. Like there's voice channels. It'll be in one of the voice channels. It'll be in one of the voice channels. My bad. I fucking just zoned out on y'all. I forgot y'all were here. Damn, y'all just watching me in a private conversation. Damn. My bad, y'all. Damn, are we gonna do Daredevil again? I only pulled it up because I was just randomly watching shit. I mean, you're free to pull it up and stream it in the chat. I wasn't really thinking of continuing doing it though. I wasn't really thinking about that. What else y'all want to talk about, man?